2021 saw a number of political storylines that played out throughout the year, from a president dealing with multiple emerging and changing issues to another New York governor going down in scandal.
And of course, there was the highly competitive race for New York City mayor, at least on the Democratic side. But we're going to begin early last year with a moment we all watched in horror: the attack on the Capitol and on democracy.
We will never give up. We will never concede.
Fueled by falsehoods about election fraud, a mob of President Trump's supporters stormed and breached the U.S. Capitol January 6th during the ceremonial counting of electoral votes. When it was all done, 5 were killed, including Capitol Police officer and New Jersey native Brian Sicknick. Days later, President Trump was impeached for a historic second time.
So help me God.
The swearing-in of Joe Biden as the 46th president of the United States went ahead as planned January 20th. 78 at the time, Biden is the oldest man to hold the office. Kamala Harris is the first person of color to be vice president and the first woman to hold either top role in the country's history. The Biden administration went to work revising Trump policies on climate, immigration, and ramping up COVID-19 vaccine production.
We face an attack on our democracy and on truth. A raging virus, growing inequity.
But all that was put on the back burner February 9th during the impeachment trial of Trump. He was eventually acquitted, with 57 senators voting to find him guilty. 67 were required. Meanwhile, in New York, it was the beginning of the end for another key national figure. Criticism of Governor Cuomo's handling of nursing homes during the pandemic had sparked several investigations. One of his most outspoken critics, Assemblyman Ron Kim, claimed the governor personally threatened him.
On the call, Cuomo threatened to ruin my career.
In the weeks that followed, the governor was accused of more bullying behavior and of sexual harassment, at first by former staffers Lindsey Boylan and Charlotte Bennett, prompting this apology in early March.
I acted in a way that made people feel uncomfortable.
Still more allegations of sexual harassment kept coming, and Cuomo was forced to greenlight an independent investigation out of the office of Attorney General Tish James. While back in Washington, Democrats were finally delivering on campaign promises, passing a massive $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill. It included $1,400 stimulus checks and money for local governments, restaurants, and entertainment venues. The political victory was short-lived, though, because by the end of March, all eyes were on the southern border, watching a surge of immigrants seeking to cross. And in early April, 2,000 miles away in New York City, the Democratic primary for mayor was heating up.
It feels great. It feels like New York City is opening up.
Fresh off a run for president, entrepreneur Andrew Yang surged to the front of the field, but quickly faded. Brooklyn Borough President and retired police captain Eric Adams pulled ahead by talking about solutions to rising crime. Former Sanitation Commissioner Catherine Garcia also picked up some momentum, and the progressives rallied around former counsel to the mayor Maya Wiley. New Yorkers went to the polls June 22nd using a new ranked choice voting system.
New York City said our first choice is Eric Adams.
Adams did get the most first-place votes and was eventually declared the winner, only after more vote-counting dysfunction from the troubled City Board of Elections. For the Republican nomination, Guardian Angels founder Curtis Sliwa easily defeated outspoken entrepreneur Fernando Mateo. Shortly after the primary, Mayor de Blasio began rolling out policies that would define his final few months in office: vaccine mandates. He began by requiring city healthcare workers and school staff to get the jab before expanding the order to the whole city workforce. De Blasio also implemented a vaccine requirement at entertainment venues and indoor dining.
This is about what we need to do to bring back New York City. This is about keeping people safe.
By August, Governor Cuomo appeared to be turning the page on his scandals. That is, until Attorney General Tish James announced the results of her office's investigation, accusing Cuomo of sexually harassing 11 women.
A deeply disturbing, yet clear picture.
No longer apologetic, the governor ripped the report as a political hit job, but his fellow lawmakers pushed to remove him quickly.
We will impeach you.
August 10th, a week after the report's release, Cuomo resigned.
The best way I can help now is if I step aside.
2 weeks later, Buffalo native Kathy Hochul was sworn in as the state's 57th governor, the first woman to have the job.
I want people to believe in their government again.
It's important to me that people have faith.
Fast forward to November 2nd, election night 2021. Adams easily defeated Sliwa to become the city's 110th mayor. Still, Democrats elsewhere struggled with sliding approval ratings for Biden. New Jersey's Democratic Governor Phil Murphy found himself trailing on election night to former Republican Assemblyman Jack Ciattarelli.
We're going to have to wait a little while longer than we had hoped.
Murphy prevailed after a few days of counting mail-in ballots, but Republican Glenn Youngkin won an upset victory in Virginia. That, combined with fears of rising inflation and supply chain issues, pushed Democrats in Washington to pass a long-promised infrastructure deal. By November 15th, President Biden had signed the $1.2 trillion package.
I ran for president believing it was time to rebuild the backbone of this nation.
Of course, the last few weeks of 2021 were defined by the discovery of the Omicron variant in southern Africa. New travel requirements were put in place. Debates are happening locally and nationally about masks and vaccines and mandates. Everything Governor Hochul is doing right now should be viewed with a political eye because she seeks to earn a full term for herself this year in the New York governor's race. There's also the midterms that we're watching, Ayanna.
And those mandates will be something new Mayor Eric Adams will have to consider and evaluate as well. Henry, as you take a look back through all of those major political stories that you covered over the last year, what do you think was the biggest story you took a look at?
I really think it had to be the rise and fall, particularly the fall in 2021, which began back in 2020, of Governor Cuomo. I mean, it was really just stunning. And there was a moment in the middle of the year, I'm sure you remember, Ayanna, where it looked like he was not really going to face any consequences. Right. He was rallying with Eric Adams after he won election. Lawmakers were by his side again, and that report changed everything so quickly. What about you?
I would have to say the race for New York City mayor. As someone who grew up in this city, it was an honor to have a front row seat for that. And so fascinating to watch all the energy surge around Andrew Yang and then fade away from Andrew Yang.
That was something.
Yeah, Eric Adams was pretty steady throughout the race and that last-minute surge of Catherine Garcia. But ultimately, it was Adams who's been working for this for 20 years.